Listen up, losers. This is the Fake Podcast by HIVE Analytics, Episode 5. Today's topic is 3 CRM mistakes to avoid like the plague. Let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it. So this is a very self-serving episode where we get to get on our soapboxes as HIVE Analytics and tell you all the things that you're doing wrong in your CRM. And it does not matter what CRM you are on. This is just an issue that's endemic to the automotive industry. And we're here to tell you, you have to have protocols. You have to have good base measurement practices and ensure that, your technology is popping off the way that you want it to. So it's recording the data that you need to see to make improvements over time. So at a surface level, we're going to talk about how we avoid these pitfalls and where there might be some kind of, faults in our operations, if you will, and what strategies we can employ to get better data accumulation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and the overall just relief that you have that's always going to be the same all the time.
Super nice.
Love that. I think that's something that we were on a mission to fix, and we can say with good clarity we know the score at all times and feel good about what things are important to us in our data. So looking forward to unpacking this and helping other people out.
Me too. That's true power when you have that clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So as always, we're going to start this off with a fake poll. George, do you want to give us some of these interesting numbers of the fake poll that we asked our fake audience about?
Are the ballots in?
The ballots are in.
Are they dropping?
They already
News drop right
They
now?
already done dropped.
Okay.
Yeah. The fake poll, so we did poll a fake audience, and the question that we asked is, what is your closing ratio in your CRM? So here's the results. 60% said it depends who's asking. 45% said, I don't know, I just don't have enough leads, dumbass. 38% said, I close at 80%, but only when I log showroom visits and I close them, and then I put other records outside of my name because I'm done wasting time with them. 28% said, honestly, I have no idea. And 5% said, seriously, where are the keys to stock number A2349? I have an appointment in 5 minutes.
Somebody's got to help that guy out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone needs to help him. Yeah, I think someone might have double voted on these a couple times. The math ain't mathin'.
For sure.
And we're asking for a ratio, and we got sentiment, right?
We got sentiment.
Now, we did that for a reason on the fake poll because this is a sensitive topic, right? So looking forward to unpacking this a bit.
A little sensitive. I resonate with two. I have empathy coming from the car sales side about, what you're logging. However, 60% depends on who's asking. Mm-hmm. Who is asking? So the answer can change based upon who is giving that answer and who they're providing that answer to. And so it becomes completely subjective, and we're all about the objectivity rather than subjectivity here. So let's unpack that. George, what's sounding good to you on this poll?
What's sounding good to me is, honestly, I have no idea. And ironically, I think we have to be honest with ourselves that we're having a fake podcast. And most of the time when you ask this question, you're going to get a fake answer. Sometimes because dealers want it to be a number that they're shooting for. And when that is the case, they can do a little bit of data magic or manipulation to get to the number, and they don't really know what the answer is. And not knowing that is okay. That's why we suggest that you look at it as consistent methodology, and you can determine what those numbers are. And that's what we're all about here at HIVE Analytics. We really nerd out on data analysis.
Yeah. And that goes back to the 60% depends who's asking. I think that's like a really honest way to look at it. Like if someone's asking that you're responsible to show success with, that number might be higher. And then if you're asking somebody like from marketing, hey, what's the closing ratio? You might have a different answer because you might need more leads, dumbass. So it really is like, it's kind of unfortunate because numbers without benchmarking and without like consistency, they can just be really damaging in the long term. And then everybody's like out of sync on with how they're actually doing and then how to improve processes because who knows where you're at right now. Right. Mm-hmm. So all these are very true answers, even though they're not ratios that we asked for in the fake poll. They're going to set up the stage really well for our discussion today.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, I love the data magic. So there's HIVE Analytics data magic, and there's, how dealers are measuring their data. So before we get into some of these vulnerabilities, we're going to take a very quick break. Oh, God. For a fake commercial.
Howdy. Fake Sam Elliott here for Clickety Clack. The time has come for the automotive professional to retire our Copenhagen long cut, our skull bandits, and all the other nasty garbage we put in our mouth. They are disgusting, and no one wants to see that, smell it, or mistakenly pick up your spitter. Times are changing faster than the velocity of new state and federal tax credits raining down on us from God knows where. Everyone knows I don't love change. I am basically the same guy in every movie from Tombstone to Big Lebowski. But it's time to change how we get our nicotine fix. That's why I go upper deck with Clickety Clack. It's the only nicotine pouch that is infused with caffeine. No more disgusting chew tins, Red Bull cans all over the BBC. Just the soothing effects and endless energy of Clickety Clack. And for my friends at the HIVE Analytics Fake Podcast, make sure you tell them fake Sam Elliott lives in the Moneyball Dash. I like gambling as much as the next guy, but when it comes to distributing my leads, I need those insights. When I get a true car lead on that Ford F-250 dually, it's going to the right sharpshooter based on HIVE data to close that deal. When you're feeling a little wiggity whack, reach for a pack of Clickety Clack. Now available in Adderall flavor.
Thank you again to our sponsors. We can honestly do this without you, but thank you nonetheless. Check out all of our fake sponsors at hiveanalytics.io, and we want to make the most of these fake endorsements. And if you actually want to sponsor us, there's a little CTA on our website. Feel free. We could use it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We need more clickety clacks. So let's get into what the data is telling us, okay? So we have our fake poll, we have our sentiment, we've had our sponsors, but Hive Analytics is real, and we have real strong feelings about what you should be doing in your CRM. And of course, the topic is what to avoid. So let's unpack some stuff here. And first things first, what is the data not telling us? We're going to focus on visibility issues within the CRM, and we're going to go about how we're fixing that. So James, start us off what the number one pitfall is.
Well, let's start you off with the problem that we genuinely had at Schomp Automotive. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of different nuances in each store's CRM. There's manufacturer influence, different trade tools, different elements within it. Like Mercedes-Benz, they have like Sprinter vans, right? How do you count that? Do you count that towards the whole? So there's a lot of very legitimate nuances in the data. And when it comes to measuring things, there's a bunch of nuances that can make you look less efficient than your peer, or you might not be as high as a ratio as others. Yeah. So I think those nuances are not something you should marginalize, but something you should measure intently. But it all comes down to a methodology. You can't answer these questions about nuance without a methodology to properly compare things. So that's avoid the pitfall number one. Have a methodology. So Hive, that's the problem we were trying to solve at the start, is have a consistent way about it, of where we're accumulating all of the opportunities in the CRM in the same fashion. We can compare them against each other so we can really understand the nuances better, and we can compare and contrast the performance amongst different channels. Stores that have the same sources, how do they compare to each other, so we really know what good is and what middle is, and all, that way it's not subjective. Hey, I'm doing great with this. Well, we can take a look at that and say you are doing excellent with that compared to your peers, and actually has a tangible value, right? Mm-hmm. And so CRM reports, it's not like they don't have value, but they're missing a few things. They don't really tell you what to do with the data. Mm-hmm. So Hive does a really good job of that, where we're actually benchmarking. You can immediately see some of these insights and where you need to work at it. They also don't really give you like an instruction manual of like, hey, is that good or bad? And as we'll unpack a little bit too, it's not the complete picture. So if you ask a certain thing of your CRM, how many new and used leads do I have? It'll tell you that. But what it won't tell you is things that are miscategorized, or things that were marked bad and put in a disposition that's no longer in the math. So there needs to be a methodology so it's all on the same page, because each store could do something a little bit different. It could have a little different style of how they use it. They could have users that are very experienced in CRM, some users that are kind of getting used to it, and different leaders of those stores that have different elements they bring into the CRM also. But you really don't know unless you put all this stuff together and benchmark it. And that's self-serving, as Kat said. That's what we're really good at. I'm really impressed with some of the very actionable things people do based on the insights of Hive. So we're going to get into some of those pitfalls that we've seen and hopefully others can avoid.
Absolutely. And I think that you said a lot there, and the methodology. And one thing I want to touch on that I don't think we've said on this podcast yet is our philosophy is an all-in strategy.
All in.
All in. If it's in the CRM, it's worth measuring. And I think that's kind of step number one. That's pretty deep, James. So George, can you make this simple for us?
I could try. What I'm going to offer is akin to digging for gold, and it's all about phone tracking. So, what you need to do and what you should be doing is making sure that you're tracking every single inbound sales call and getting it shared into your CRM so that you can quantify them, qualify them, and see which sources are working for you. Once you do that, and we touched on the importance of benchmarking, you can determine how many opportunities are actually being driven to your store via the phone. And what we see in an all-in strategy when you are sharing every single sales call into your CRM is that you should have about 1/3 or more percentage of phone leads in comparison to your internet leads. And they tend to close at twice the rate.
Yeah.
So they're closing at twice the rate of these internet leads. They're coming in at 1/3 the volume. It's too important not to measure that and make sure that you have a very good handling of that process. So the steps to do that, the first thing you need to do is work with your call tracking provider and make sure those are all shared into your CRM via XML or ADF. You need to have somebody listen to those calls, do it for quality assurance and review. Make sure that every single one of those calls you are trying to put the vehicle of interest into the records so that you know how many new and used opportunities are being driven. This also helps for marketing efforts in the future. If you don't have that vehicle of interest, you really don't know what happened on that call. And then you educate the staff on the importance of the phones, especially if you kind of sell it as you're going to sell these opportunities at twice the rate of an internet lead. Make sure you're putting a high amount of importance on those opportunities, and you build a phone culture backed by training.
Yeah.
So what we have done in Hive is when we started an all-in strategy and we measured the impact of making those changes and having everything shared into the CRM, every single phone opportunity, we saw our phone opportunities jump almost 100% overnight because it removed the subjectivity of people qualifying them and deciding whether or not they wanted to log it and enter it into the CRM, and everything is entered into the CRM.
Yeah,
so
sometimes it's not because they're doing anything bad; it's just busy.
Sure.
I mean, it's nice to have that safe. Kind of it's going to get in the CRM even if I am working with a client.
Right.
On a busy Saturday, at least it's there.
Right.
That we can go follow up on it. So there's some subjectivity if people are like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I already sold that Forerunner, so why would I call that guy back or
Right.
log in the CRM? So that's good to have visibility on, so we really know when us marketers are asked, hey, what's the ROI on this? We really need the full context because phone, to your point, closes twice as much as internet.
Yep.
Some of our sources drive more phone calls than they do internet.
Right.
Or that's where their success is. So you don't know this stuff unless you have a good methodology. So it does. One more thing to add to your kind of what to do is I really like, and I'll give you credit for this, kind of keep it on the spreadsheet. These are the vendors we're working with. Here's their number. Here's all this stuff. So when we have new stores come to our mix or we need to go do some troubleshooting, everything's named the same in a spreadsheet. You kind of deploy a strategy that's consistent.
Right.
So that way, when you are hopping around in your CRM reports, you're not going to have to reorient yourself to what the naming convention is or something like that. Just take a minute and think about it and get it right.
That's right. Set it up.
If you can't tell, I'm a little.
Set it up right from the beginning.
I might have a messy desk every once in a while, but messy data drives me crazy.
I can't believe you brought up spreadsheets.
I
It's
know.
like Cardinal sin number one here. on
Yeah,
this
they have a
podcast.
purpose, but you gotta love visualizations more than you love spreadsheets. Right?
Absolutely.
We're just organizing in spreadsheets.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't endorse them at all.
No.
All right. So we got to the inevitable. We're officially telling people what to do and going, we have authority on this. We have a stance on this. Listen up, losers, right? So I'm going to tell people what I think.
Okay.
I'm great at doing that. I love to be right.
Let's hear it.
I know. I was wrong earlier, and I got to redeem myself here. So we're going to talk about how pervasive targets lead to pervasive data practices. So if you kind of have this pie in the sky kind of, oh, this would be nice to have, you're never going to really have a tangible markable, like I can hit that. So the pitfall that I want to talk about is setting those lofty expectations that aren't based on historical data and, previous experience. We need to have something that's tangible, which is why we love a baseline. So to do that, you have to get your methodology down. We want to see your engagement, your visit, your proposal rate, and all of those things, and measure that over a continuum of time, which we have preached on this podcast before. And if you ask for a 25% closing rate, we've kind of touched on this, that's exactly what you're going to get, because people are going to start
you'll get it.
Yeah, you're going to get it.
Well, just manipulating and doing data magic again.
Data magic. I think that's going to be the catchphrase for this one is data magic. But guess what? Then you really have no idea how many leads you have. You have no idea what the follow-up cadence is going to be. You're going to start losing stuff. You're not going to be able to retarget the way that you want to, and things like that.
Right.
Should I give up?
And you're not going to be able to staff your store with intelligence either, because you don't really know how many opportunities are in the CRM.
Right.
If you are deleting records or moving them into spots where there's not visibility, it's just pure chaos after that.
Yep.
So.
It's a mess. And we feel very strongly about, what that average lead count should be. We've seen what works and we know what works.
Yeah.
All right. So here's kind of a personal example. I am trying to learn how to golf. I am not great. But I'm not going to go and start measuring my stats against Tiger Woods or be looking at the PGA anytime in the near future. I'm going to start with my baseline. This is my swing speed. Okay, what's my technique to improve that? And it's like those 1% incremental improvements rather than comparing to something that's completely intangible to me right now.
Yeah,
right.
The same is true in automotive too. You could have a very new person to the industry. You're not going to overwhelm them with a ton of leads, right? And you're not going to have the same expectations of them when they start.
Absolutely.
So it's, but we do that in automotive. We just say, hey, the target closing ratio for internet's 25%.
That's crazy.
Go get it.
Based on what? If we haven't closed anything, anywhere near that if you do an all-in strategy. So having that true baseline, then hey, the new person over here is really killing it in these certain categories, and it's helping them get to that. And then what other aspects do they need training on to get that average up to par? So golf references.
Golf
awesome.
references.
Finally.
And then also shameless plug for Moneyball.
Yeah.
That dashboard. That's where you find it.
That's where you find it.
All right. So tell us about how to live their best data lives.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, apart from what you've just said, talk about the BI dashboards maybe a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So there's what we've discovered when we've started bringing these kind of visualizations to automotive leaders is not one dashboard can do it all. You got to kind of shape your data on what kind of answers you're trying to provide, right? So a marketer's view, we love trends for that because you're able to see how things perform over multiple months. Like in our episode we just talked about in episode 4. Remember, Kat, episode 4 when we did that?
Yeah, episode 4 that we did that.
So,
I remember.
We don't look at 30-day sales cycles as marketers. We look at things over time and instances. That's what's most important to us. And so we can identify trends that's happening in our data, and we can be more equipped to what's going to happen in the future based on what happened in our recent and far past, right? When we're looking at things like who does best with this type of lead, that's where Moneyball comes into play. We're able to isolate what's the source, what's the type of vehicle of interest, and then we're able to see very quickly who has very good proficiency with that type of lead. And then we can also compare across stores to how they do with the source like that as well. So, and then if we want to look at health indicators, is the process being followed? How many hidden kind of leads are in there? So things that don't have a vehicle of interest that sometimes don't show up in automotive CRM reports, things that are marked lost and have a disposition that removes them from the math. What does that look like? How many are in there? So we have a true feeling of what our total opportunities are. And then also, are there any inconsistencies with how those things are being used or any channels that's populating these kind of blind spots in our CRM? So that's what analytics is all about, is kind of that operator view, is everything going as planned, and having that dashboard, all those gauges on the airplane to make sure everything's flying the way you want it to.
Right. And then when you find those channels that are kind of habitual offenders for getting records into the CRM that are not properly populated, you can implement practices and processes to address
strategy.
it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, George. So the question is, how do you get deeper than surface level?
Well, as we like to say, anytime a data question comes in is you need to hive that shit. And what that means is you take a data set and you run it, you normalize it and run it through BI so that you can view it and consume it on a massive level. So that's what we do here at Hive Analytics. And listen up, we are the fastest growing podcast in the automotive industry, and we actually have a fake graph to prove it. Can we see that graph on the screen, James? Do you have that ready to go?
I can figure that out. I think so. Maybe.
Somewhere, somehow.
Oh, there it went. 0.72.
0.72.
No, we're not gonna do that today.
That's okay.
Trevor's gonna help us out and get that graphic up.
Sweet. Well, we love talking about things that we're passionate about. We love talking about automotive data. We love this format. It's a gateway to get like-minded people who want to look at their data on a very objective level included in this conversation. And the Fake Podcast, after we've launched this, we've made some good friends. We're making some relationships with some important people in the industry and people who want to get a renewed perspective on their data. So get on over to Hive Analytics and spend some time with us. We would love to set up a demo for you guys, show you what we've been working on over here with our CRM dashboards, our marketplace dashboards. One thing that you can count on is if you reach out to us and try to set up a demo, your record is going to be properly categorized in the CRM with your name, contact information, where you came from, and it's going to be clean and in the right stage so that we can practice what we preach with CRM maintenance.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're so appreciative for everyone that's kind of followed along with this. I think that we've had a ton of really great engagement, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, 40, slightly over 40 is kind of blown up, right?
Yeah.
We have a
Holy
fake
cow.
rap about somebody. We have all sorts of
It's amazing.
not so nice commentary about people's ages, which is fine. But
And a lot of good nominations too. Very
Great nominations.
Very
Great
very worthy
nominations.
nominations for sure.
Yeah, well, with some housekeeping, like we have gotten a ton of nominations, but they're still open all the way through February 15th. So please go and nominate your favorite people in the automotive industry. Some other things, we want you to go to hiveanalytics.io. And if you're cool data people like us, we want you to join the Illuminati Data Society for sure.
yeah.
More to come on that.
More to come on that.
Yeah, we got to do
But we want to create a community, right?
Right.
We want to improve our product, expose it to other people, get their insights. That's really how it was built.
For sure.
Before it was just some simple graphs, and then, hey, what if you can do this? This isn't quite solving the question that I had, and then we'll get to work and try to figure that out.
That's right.
We
Yeah.
just want to kind of do that at another scale now. So
Yep. So we look forward to hearing your feedback for that. And most importantly, stop living your life in spreadsheets. I can't believe you said spreadsheets earlier.
I know. Sorry about that.
Gosh. Any other closing thoughts before we wrap this up today?
I'm good.
I'm good
All
too.
right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for visiting us. This has been episode number 5 of the Fake Podcast. We hope to see you next time.